Yes, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to Star Trek Sunday: The Return.
It feels so good to be back.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, it's been good to have a break as well, in a nice way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm one of your hosts, Stu Jackson, and this is
Keira C. Georgeson.
Yay!
And today, this is my first Star Trek Sundays from my new flat in Wales.
New flat. So you're coming to us from over the valleys then, from Wales
From the
itself.
valleys, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not, is it? It's Cardiff, is that right?
I live in a tiny town about 25 minutes north of Cardiff.
Oh, nice, very nice. So that's, yeah.
The population of this town is less than 6,000 people.
You say that like it's a lot. I used to live in Cornwall.
It's not
the population
a lot.
of the town might be 6.
I've just moved from Bristol, and before Bristol I lived in Shanghai, which is one of the most densely populated cities in the world, and now I'm in the middle of nowhere in Wales, and it's really strange for me.
You're gradually downsizing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But of course you've moved to Wales for a very, very exciting reason, haven't you?
Yeah.
Do you want to remind everyone why you've moved?
Yes. A week tomorrow I start university. It's very exciting and very nerve-wracking. But yeah, a week of freedom, and then I'm a full-time student again.
It's massively exciting. And hello to Captain Quinn, who said hello to us. Captain Quinn only knows the east coast of North Wales.
Wow.
But yeah, no, I spent a fair bit, especially around Cardiff, because of course the BBC studios. That's where you go to do Casualty. I never did Doctor Who, though. I was very sad not to do Doctor Who.
A lot of the TV shows I've done have been in Wales. They've got a lot of studios down here, like so many.
Yeah, well, they moved them from Bristol, because it was all Bristol, and then I'm showing my age there. I remember when it was Bristol.
Yeah, like all along the M4. Like I've been to studios in Newport, Cardiff, Bridgend. There's like loads of them.
It's excellent there, definitely. Well, all the very, very best of luck with your course. You will still be joining us each Sunday, though, won't you?
Yes, you can't get rid of me that easily.
Fantastic. I just realised my costume's gone all horribly, horribly wrong, but never mind. Should we crack on with, because we've got, it's probably worth mentioning. Oh, hello, Ed. Ed's joined us as well. Ed likes the BBC stuff. He says BBC history stuff used to be done by BBC Bristol, like the amazing War Walks with Professor Richard Holmes. Yes. And no, Captain Quinn, I'm afraid there's not a studio called Bad Wolf. Sorry. That would be cool. But yeah, we're probably going to be having quite a long episode today, because there is so much to catch up on, and we're reviewing a movie, which is always a bit longer, and we're going to be doing, well, do you know what, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Shall we go through our contents for today, Keira? We're going to be reviewing The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 2, possibly the greatest Trek movie ever. I've heard it called that.
Yes. And then after that review of Wrath of Khan, we'll be doing a deep dive into Gene Roddenberry's life. Oh.
Yes, we will be paying a visit to the Divine Treasury with not just one item, but 2.
Exciting. And as always, we'll be finishing off with the latest Star Trek news.
Yay! And there's going to be a lot of that to catch up on, because we've been
3 weeks worth of news. Oh my
god. So I mentioned it's for many years Wrath of Khan was considered the greatest Trek movie ever. I think pre first contact. Certainly of the original series. Anyway, I'm digressing already. Take a drink. Digressing. So the movie, The Wrath of Khan, was released on the 4th of June, 1982. I was 9 years old.
I was -12.
Yay. And this is the second movie in the franchise, following up, of course, from Star Trek, the motion picture.
With the assistance of the Enterprise crew, Admiral Kirk must stop an old nemesis, Khan Noonien Singh, from using the life-generating Genesis device as the ultimate weapon.
So we actually watched slightly different versions of this, did we not, Kira?
Yes, I watched the director's cut, which has about an extra 4 minutes worth of film.
Yeah, it's not a massive difference with the director's cut in this. Sorry, I'm just going to talk about. You know what? This is a shit uniform. I'm really
No one can notice except you, Stu.
I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my uniform.
Great. You look great.
Thank you. So I watched the theatrical version again, obviously, having seen it like the first time round. It's not a massive amount of differences with the director's cut in this, is it?
No, I mean, I struggled to actually pick out the bits that were added in because I haven't watched Wrath of Khan since I was a kid. So I couldn't notice what the extra bits were because they're so minimal anyway. There is a list somewhere that you can look up, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much extra scenes as more just extra lines in scenes.
No. Like just like lengthy scenes very slightly rather than adding whole scenes back in.
Yes. Now there is another version out there, a U-rated version, which you know that scene where they board regular one and people have got their throats slit, and Bones finds the guy hanging with his throat slit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like literally like blink and you'll miss it. But that scene is what made it a 15 in the cinema. That one snippet. So they cut that for the TV when it was first shown on TV. Now that's not the version I watched, the original, because it belongs in the movie. I think it's not a kids' movie. I don't think it should be seen as a kids' movie. But you say it's been a long time since you've seen it. What did you think?
Really enjoyed it. I love watching old movies like this because there's such a, I don't know how to describe it, but the effects are all quite practical effects. There's not a lot of CGI, and I so much prefer movies that do that. And this one, yes. the effects were good. My favorite bit was when when the little monster was going in Chekhov's ear.
Oh, yes.
You can tell that it's not a real ear, but you can also tell the effort they put into making that ear look good.
Yes, absolutely. Hello, Paul. Paul has joined us, and I echo Paul's sentiment when you said old movies. Old? Old movies, to me, to be fair, are 1950s black and white movies. Things like Wizard of Oz would be an old movie.
Ancient movies. Yeah. But if we go by the definition of the word vintage is anything older than 25 years. So.
Is it? I always thought vintage meant 100.
Antique is 100, vintage is 25.
Okay. Oh, my car's nearly vintage. I like it. Literally, it's 21 years old. So my newest, my oldest car, because I got to anyway. Hello to It's Faces, who says Wrath of Khan will always be one of the greatest Star Trek movies. Absolutely, 100% agree with you there. Definitely. So it's good fun. I it can't. I mean, Ricardo Montalban. He is just so much fun in this movie, is he not? And he's shredded. His pecs. My God. Like.
Do you know who else I really love? I absolutely adore Kirstie Alley. Absolutely love her.
Yes. When I look at her when I look at her in isolation of this episode, I 100% agree. When I look at what she tried to do after this movie for Star Trek 3, I lose all respect for her. Are you aware of that story?
No.
So basically she said, right, now I'm in it, now I'm like one of the main characters, you've got to pay me whatever the hell I ask for. And she put in a stupid amount of money. So they said, fine, and they recast her. So, yeah.
That's what you get, really.
I mean, I always liked Kirstie Alley kind of growing up in Cheers and things like that. Yeah, then the more I find out about her as we get older, the less of a fan I am. She's very prominent Scientologist.
Is she?
Oh yes, oh yes. Her
Ruining
and Tom Cruise.
My whole childhood image of her now, Stu.
Sorry. Well, it's the whole "can you separate the art and the artist" sort of debate, isn't it? Which you know, Robert Beltran. That's all I can say on that.
And Kate Mulgrew as well. I mean, she's
Kate
lovely.
Mulgrew. Yeah, there's a few
and
of
you know
them
what?
out there.
Shatner as well, because I absolutely love Kirk, but Shatner.
The Shat. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, digression. Take a drink.
Taking a drink. Now, we have done Star Trek Bingo for the Wrath of Khan. We aren't running the competition for movies. Oh, don't tell me you didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I forgot.
Oh no! Well,
I have been so stressed with moving house.
Yes,
I forgot Star Trek Sundays Bingo even existed. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's for, and you know what? With everything going on, that's totally understandable. Totally understandable. Well, that means I win though by default.
You win by default, but I will get the
best way
bingo
to win,
and we will see.
Yeah, see if you can agree with my determinations. So, I mean, obviously when we do these, you know, we want you to join in at home as well. But the competition that we run isn't applying to the movies, only to episodes, just so you're aware. And while Kira finds her sheet out, I will tell you about the competition. We have a competition running whereby if you can get us... So each box on our bingo sheet, which you can get from us on Discord or by messaging one of us, we'll happily send it to you. Each box is worth 1 point. If you get a full row of 5 boxes, either horizontally, vertically or diagonally, that gives you an additional 5 points. So there are a total of 85 points up for grabs. If you can find an episode, not a movie, but an episode that provides 65 points or more, you get to win. What do they get to win, Kira?
A T-shirt designed by us.
Yes.
Or will be designed by us in the future.
It will be. It will be. We have. Yes. It's somewhere. It's somewhere. We've started it.
I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
We did have a conversation about this, didn't we? Because we were both going to do a different design.
We did, absolutely. Yes, now, well, I think we settled kind of going with your design for the winner of the competition, and my design is a generic Star Trek Sundays T-shirt. Did we not?
Yes.
So watch this space. Watch this space. Now, Captain Quinn said can't find where he saved his bingo card. Captain Quinn did message me during the week to say he believes he has a full house on a particular episode. Now, I'm not going to name the episode on air, because obviously we want Captain Quinn to have the first opportunity of getting it to us with those timestamps. Now, that's very important. If you're going to do this competition, you've got to give us the timestamp of the episode so that we can double check it, basically. But yeah, so I'm waiting for that from Captain Quinn. But Captain Quinn feels he has a full house. I didn't think that was possible for these bingo sheets. But a full house.
No,
Looking forward to that. Its Faces has said DS9 in the Pale Moonlight, one of the best episodes of the series. I could not agree more. It is my favourite episode of all series.
Wow, all claims.
So on to the bingo then. I got a score of 14 points.
Wow,
which is a really good score. I was quite impressed with that. The top line, I got every single one. Some of it perhaps is there what? Sorry?
Turbo lift conversation.
Yes, there is. There is obviously techno babble. The turbo lift conversation takes place, in fact, with Kirstie Alley and Kirk, and McCoy comes and joins them as well. He's talking about her hair.
Yes. When she's changed her hair and they're all having the mothers meeting about her hair.
Yes.
Like,
it's still regulation. Yes. The red alert. Now, I was a little bit iffy on red alert because at no point does anyone say red alert. Kirstie Alley at the very beginning does call for battle stations, and then everything starts flashing red and you get the Aruga noises. So I'm taking that as red alert.
Yeah, I think we agreed in a previous episode that if the red lights are on, it still counts even if no one actually said red alert. Because if the red lights are on, they're in red alert, whether they've said it or not.
It's either red alert or they're in a brothel. Which if it's an episode with Riker, wouldn't put it past.
Yeah.
Particle causes problem. When they are examining what they think is SETI Alpha 5, and they find something on Dino Scanner number whatever, and they say it could be a particle of preanimate matter caught in the flux. So something they can transplant, basically, because it has to be a moon or body without any life whatsoever. So they're talking about this particle of preanimate matter. So I'm saying particle causes problem for that. And space anomaly. Well, the Mutara Nebula itself is a space anomaly. So that for me is all of the top row. Each yay! On the second row, I only got one transporter malfunction, which is when they're in regular, the asteroid itself. It says you can't even beam us back. It's like, no, the transporters aren't operating. Although I have a weird nitpicky thing about that particular scene. Sorry, they're on the station. They're on regular one, the space station, and he says, "Oh, we can't beam you back to the ship." "Oh no, we can't get to the ship." And then they use regular one's transporters to go into the asteroid. Why didn't they just use regular one's transporters to go back to the ship?
Maybe it was too far away.
Maybe. Okay, yeah, I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Fair enough. Anyway, that was the only one I got from the second row. Stop me if you're looking at the sheet thinking, "Oh, you've missed one." Do stop me. In the middle row, I got two. Aliens almost exactly like humans. Vulcans. We've established that one really heavily. And expendable crew member. We know who that is.
Spock.
Yeah, Spock is expendable in this movie, it would seem.
I actually cried. I shed a single tear for Spock. Oh.
And rightly so. It's a very, very moving moment. I wet buckets the first time I ever saw it.
I might actually cry again about it.
I know. And, to really make you cry, Ed has reminded us as well of another expendable crew member, Peter Preston. The cadet who stayed at his post when the other trainees ran.
Oh, he's clearly so expendable, I can't even remember him.
There's a scene that I think he was supposed to have been Scotty's son. But it was kind of they changed the script. Scotty's nephew, thank you, Captain Quinn. Scotty's nephew.
Right.
Yeah, Peter Preston. I did not get anything for the fourth one. I sort of looked at the warp core, almost blows up a few times, but I think we established that the warp core actually blowing up does not count. Did we not?
Yeah.
So otherwise that would have been the Reliant. So I didn't have that one. And on the fifth row I only had over-explanation. There weren't much in the way of actual aliens in this. Because I'm not counting augments as aliens.
Right, because he was a genetically modified human and an alien,
Yeah. So, there we go. So, everyone watching it, go ahead, do the bingo yourself at home, and let us know. Yes, the SETI eels. Yeah, but they're not like a metaphor for a demographic of humans or for human issues. But they are in there, definitely, and Vulcans.
I don't know, they remind me quite strongly of British politicians, to be fair. But
no, I think SETI eels are more honest.
And cuter.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Right, shall we fire through? We got loads and loads of trivia to talk about, haven't we? And in fact, there is far more trivia than we're actually going to talk about here today. So, jump in the Discord and anything we missed, do fire it in there. But we're limiting it because there is just so much to talk about. So, shall we fire straight into it, Kira?
Let's do it.
Okay. The producer, Harv Bennett, viewed all the episodes of the original series of Star Trek and chose Space Seed as the best candidate for a sequel. Spock even remarks in the script for Space Seed that it would be interesting to return in 100 years or so to see what type of civilization had grown there. And this is the first time a feature film was made as a sequel to a specific television series episode.
The famous Space, the Final Frontier monologue is heard for the first time since the original series, now narrated by Leonard Nimoy. However, this has been changed slightly. Instead of saying its 5-year mission and to seek out new life, it now says her ongoing mission and to seek out new life forms.
Producers went ahead with a movie script featuring Khan, taking it for granted that Ricardo Montalban would be interested in or available for the film. Specifically, it was overlooked that Montalban at the time was busy starring on Fantasy Island back in 1977. However, Montalban was receptive when approached about reprising the role, and arrangements were made to film the movie so as not to conflict with Montalban's Fantasy Island scheduling. Da plane, boss, da plane.
Wonderful. The scenic view of San Francisco through Kirk's apartment window is a painting originally created for the Towering Inferno in 1974. In front of the backdrop were placed a couple of models of futuristic skyscrapers with working lights and elevators. Thus, once we assume that Kirk's apartment is in the same place as the tower in the Towering Inferno, then his address is 655 Market Street, San Francisco, California, on the 135th floor.
So we can stalk him. One of the Reliance crew, Commander Kyle, played by John Winston, was a recurring member of the Enterprise crew on the original series. He was also in the animated series, but voiced by James Doohan.
Oh, wonderful. The close-ups of the Seti eels entering and exiting Chekhov's ear were done using a huge rubber replica of Walter Koenig's ear, which is amazing. This is why I love practical effects. One morning, the effects crew discovered the art department had left a massive, true-to-scale Q-tip next to the giant ear, which I think that is a commitment to a prank on another scale. Like, they must have been so busy with that, and to pull that off, it's just incredible. It's really impressive.
Absolutely. George Takei initially declined to appear in this film. However, William Shatner called Takei and convinced him to reconsider. We do have something to thank the Shat for, after all, it seems.
I love George Takei. Yeah, he's great.
Yes.
For this film, Gene Roddenberry was given a consultant position and replaced as executive producer by Harve Bennett. Apparently, Paramount Studios blamed the constant production delays and budget overruns for Star Trek The Motion Picture in 1979 on Roddenberry's constant meddling and demanding script rewrites. While the studio had been open to letting him produce the film on the condition that he take a less hands-on approach and share the producer's role with John Poville, who had been an associate producer on the previous film, Roddenberry refused the notion of anything less than full creative control, and so was removed altogether from any active involvement in the film. Which probably worked out for the best, because we actually talked about the delays in the motion picture, and that was so unprofessional. So
yes. And let's look at the next generation. You know, after Gene Roddenberry sadly died, the next generation got so much better. So yes, there is that. One of Admiral Kirk's antiques is a Commodore PET computer. I love Commodores. I was a Commodore 64 kid.
Remind me what that is, because I wasn't alive then.
How dare you? It's a home computer. Commodore PETs were kind of predating to home computers. They were like the original IBMs, sort of type thing.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Do IBMs mean anything to you as well?
Nope.
Okay.
I was just like, just nod and smile, because otherwise this is going to be a spiral of like antique tech that I have no idea what it is.
Take a drink.
Yeah. Digression. On with the show. It has been widely debated that Ricardo Montalban's chest was actually a prosthetic piece that he wore during the film. In the director's commentary on the Blu-ray, Nicholas Mayo is quoted as saying that this was, in fact, Montalban's actual chest, and that he was just a very muscular man who worked out. During publicity for the film, during an appearance on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson in 1982, Montalban explained that he was able to achieve the look seen in the film by doing push-ups. A lot of push-ups.
He was shredded. My God. Lieutenant Savick, Kirstie Alley, who we've mentioned, was intended originally to have a Romulan Vulcan heritage, which would have made her more emotional than a pure-blood Vulcan. 3 hints at this remain in the final film. During the Kobayashi Maru simulation, she says to herself, "Damn." She gasps in shock when Scotty appears on the bridge with Midshipman Pressman's injured body. Preston's, not Pressman. And she is emotionally moved by Admiral Kirk's eulogy. In fact, she's actually crying as Spock's photon tube is launched. And I don't know why they removed it, because that would have made so much... As it is, it now makes no sense because she is emotional.
Yeah. I feel like, she is a complex character, and she doesn't... I never thought that she was full Vulcan.
No. But yeah, Vulcan Romulan would make so much sense.
Love a Romulan. Anyway, many of the actors playing Khan Noonien Singh's remaining henchmen were Chippendale dancers at the time of filming.
Explaining why the henchmen were so hench.
They gotta be. You gotta keep up with Khan. Doing all this.
Pexy Khan. Just after Admiral Kirk steps aboard, Scotty says he had a wee bout, but Dr. McCoy pulled me through. Actually, this was a reference to Doohan's heart attack, which took place just before filming began.
Bless him. The phrase, "To the last I grapple with thee, from hell's heart I stab at thee, for hate's sake I split my last breath at thee," is taken from Captain Ahab's speech in the novel Moby Dick from 1851 by Herman Melville.
Kirstie Alley, coming back on her, was a huge fan of Star Trek as a child, and Mr. Spock was her favourite character. She used to fantasise about being his daughter. When she auditioned for Savick, she did an impression of Leonard Nimoy's portrayal of Spock because she knew the character so well, and she shouldn't have been so fucking greedy afterwards.
Oh dear.
Also, Scientology is not a good look, Kirstie, just saying.
Do you know what? You know who she looks like? She looks like the actor who played the hologram of that woman, of Leah Brahms. She looks like Leah Brahms. They look like they could be related.
Okay, I sort of see it. Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Anyway,
no, I think, but there's a lot of it's the hair, but yeah, I see it.
Oh my god!
What?
A seagull just came into my window.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks. Live on air. A seagull joins Star Trek Sunday.
It's a good job it's closed. Oh my god. Anyway.
I'm reminded of bad lip reading. Seagulls Stop It Now. You know, the Star Wars parody.
Awful. Although Gene Roddenberry created Starfleet with a military structure, he deliberately avoided getting very detailed on the nature of that structure, what he called excessive militarism. However, director Nicholas Meyer decided to further expand this part of the Star Trek.
Oh no!
The dialogue to be more accurate to actual naval protocol.
Just to interrupt there, you froze partway through.
Oh no!
Go back to however director Nicholas Meyer. Sorry.
However, director Nicholas Meyer decided to further expand this part of the Star Trek mythos, making the uniforms and insignias more military in style, adding a ship's bell and boatswain's whistle, and writing the dialogue to be more accurate to actual naval protocol. These details have greatly influenced the films and spin-off series that followed.
Ricardo Montalban said in promo interviews for this film about how he realised early on in his career that a good villain does not see himself as villainous. He may do villainous things, but the character feels that he is doing them for righteous reasons. Likewise with heroes, Montalban said he always tried to find a flaw in the character because no one is completely good or completely evil. I absolutely, yeah. Everyone is the hero of their own story, including the
100%.
villains. Yeah,
absolutely. The computer simulation of Genesis, transforming a dead planet into a habitable one and habitable planets into dead planets, is the first complete computer-generated sequence ever used in a feature film. It is a direct brainchild of ex-Boeing engineer Lauren Carpenter, who after Boeing went on to join George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic. At Boeing in the late 1970s, Carpenter discovered that Mandelbrot fractals could be used to create realistic mountain landscapes for computer animations of new aircraft designs, a previously intractable problem, and started a revolution for computer graphics and simulation.
Yeah, if you're going to have a fractal, it's got to be a Mandelbrot fractal, or you just go home, right?
I'm an absolute expert on Mandelbrot fractals, and I can absolutely confirm nothing less will suffice.
Absolutely.
I've got several Mandelbrots in my new place, actually. I'll get them out next week.
I was going to say that's a terrible thing to call your roommates.
I don't have any roommates now. I live alone.
Awesome. So, this film officially establishes the 23rd century timeline as the time period for Star Trek and for its films. Now, before this film, this had never been officially established which century the original series took place. According to Gene Roddenberry, the original series could have easily taken place between the 21st and 31st centuries, and stardates were used to allow for this ambiguity in the timeline. Very true.
Nicholas Meyer admits that Khan's familiarity with Chekhov is a mistake, but defends this, citing Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who frequently had trivial errors in his Sherlock Holmes stories, but made no apologies for them.
Yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. Because Spacey predates Chekhov joining the crew, or joining the cast anyway. But saying, well, someone else made mistakes, that's hardly much of an excuse, is it?
But you know what? Although that's an issue with the writing, surely one of those actors would have known we've actually not done a scene together before and would have said something.
Yes, but then you and I have both been on set and calling out the writers, calling out the producers and director on mistakes, not always a comfortable thing to do.
No, you know what? I was on a TV set the other day, last week, and there was a young man playing a character who was in a hospital bed, and we were filming season 3, and he had been in season 2, and he stopped in the middle of a scene to say, I don't know if this is relevant or if it makes a difference, but I was shot in this jacket in season 2. And they were just like, no one's going to notice, no one's going to care. Your character's getting killed off anyway, so can you just shut up? And I swear, I have quite a lot of patience on a film set, because a lot of it is just standing around.
Yeah.
But this 14-year-old or 15-year-old boy, oh my God, I just wanted to smack him. He was so annoying. And he was like, he had a stand-in at one point. The stand-in filled in for him, and then he came back onto set and he was like, you can finish now, the real deal's here. I was like,
oh, for God's sake. Oh. So as you're sort of promoting violence against children, what is it you're doing your degree in again? I need to clip this.
Midwifery. It's all right. Babies can't talk and have no concept.
You won't get caught because babies can't talk. Well, you have to slap babies anyway, don't you? They come out, you
have to do that anymore.
Slap.
But
Don't they?
the point of midwifery is actually to work closely with the person giving birth, not necessarily with babies. So.
Fair enough. That's just a side effect, isn't it? Birth. It's a side effect of pregnancy. It's exactly. Like an emission that you get, like, from an illness.
Yeah, and with any luck, I hopefully will not encounter any 15-year-olds on the maternity ward.
Don't go up to the northeast. Anyway, moving on. Oh my God, my school. Oh, there are a lot of 15-year-old pregnant girls. Anyway, let's. Oh,
it gives me shivers just thinking about it.
Let's take a drink because we've digressed to buggery.
Yeah, sorry, that was quite a funny digression there.
It was. So, the different coloured turtlenecks, as worn by Starfleet officers, indicates what division they belong to. White, of course, is command, gold is engineering, grey science, light green medical, and red cadets, trainees, and people who are, going to get bumped off soon, and black is enlisted.
Wonderful. The model of the USS Reliant was purposely designed so that there were nacelles hung below the fuselage, so that when so that audiences would not accidentally confuse this with the Enterprise. As the fundamental components of both ships are the same, the saucer, the nacelles, etc., this was seen as being an effective way to visually differentiate the two vessels, particularly during action sequences where both ships are in the same scene.
Yeah, and the Reliance or the Miranda class is so iconic now as well. Brilliant. When Spock and Savick speak to each other in Vulcan, Leonard Nimoy and Kirstie Alley actually spoke in English, and then the sound people, including Mark Okrand, in his first association with Star Trek, created the Vulcan words to match the movements of Nimoy's and Alley's mouths, which they later overdubbed. And do you know what? When I watched this and it came to that scene, I sort of knew that bit of trivia, so I rewound it. I muted the sound and I watched it through again, watching the subtitles compared to what they're saying. It's absolutely, you can see they are speaking in English.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to do that as soon as we're off air. I'm going to go and do that.
Yeah, it's worth it. That particular kit's probably on YouTube, so really easy to find.
Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. I will do that.
Give it a go.
Amazing. Judson Scott's lack of screen credit for his very large role as Joachim, Khan's right-hand man, was the fault of his then agent, who mistakenly opted to waive Scott's credit, believing that would allow them to negotiate better credit placement later. Oh my God.
I noticed that his then agent, not his current agent.
Well, you know what? If that was my agent, they'd be getting sacked right after that film. That is shocking.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he's done all right with his career. It's not damaged him too much.
Do you know who he reminded me of? Not in terms of looks or anything, but the styling of his character reminded me of Rocky from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That like really muscly blonde guy that wears gold underpants.
Okay, what, the creation? Yes. Okay. I must admit that image wasn't in my mind, but whenever I watch this movie in future, I will be picturing me in shiny gold underwear.
He's just a bit of blonde eye candy, isn't he? And that's all that really is to his character.
Bit of blonde eye candy. He speaks very highly about you, you know. Moving on. According to the Guinness Book of Movie Facts and Feats, The Wrath of Khan can boast the fastest camera speed on any feature motion picture. Industrial Light and Magic shot the giant explosion scene at 2,500 frames per second at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. Although this took only 1 second to film, it actually took up 104 seconds on screen at 24 frames per second. I mean, I've occasionally shot at 60 frames per second, but 2,500 frames per second?
That's insane. How do they do that?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Imagine having enough money to do something like that as well. Like,
yeah. Imagine having enough money to make my sitcom. I only want 30 fucking grand for it. Anyway.
Oh dear. Anyway, based on the star dates given in this film and at his birth in Star Trek 2009, here Admiral Kirk is celebrating his 52nd birthday.
And he didn't look a day over 70. William Shatner was reportedly hesitant about portraying a middle-aged version of himself, however, and believed that with proper makeup he could continue playing a younger Kirk. Bennett very rightly convinced the Shat that he could age gracefully like Spencer Tracy. I mean, how egotistical can you get? The more I hear about the Shat, the less I like him.
You know what? The only actor I've seen play a young version of themselves successfully was in Benjamin Button, when Brad Pitt is like aging backwards. And it actually worked, but a lot of that was CGI. That wasn't just makeup. And without like, because the point of that movie specifically was that he was aging backwards. But in a film like this, where that's not the point, not as much effort is going to be put into making him actually look younger, it would have looked awful.
I haven't seen Benjamin Button. So.
It's a good film.
It's not Star Trek. Why would I bother?
It's got cool shit in it.
Its faces has said, wondering something. In the original series Mirror Universe, all the evil characters have beards, and has asked me if I'm from the Mirror Universe. Well, first of all, getting all nerdy, because, you know, this is the place for it. It's actually only Spock who has a beard. Not everyone has the beards. And I'm not from the Mirror Universe. However, I may be the evil version of myself. Just saying.
Love it.
Am I the evil version of myself, Keira? You know me as well as anyone.
I really don't think you're evil. But if you were, then you've done a really good job of convincing me otherwise, and that probably works to your benefit. So it could go either way.
Which would be an evil thing to do.
It would.
Yeah. Lull them in with false sense of security, see?
Oh dear. Shall we do a deep dive on Gene Roddenberry?
Yes. Evil Gene Roddenberry or prime Gene Roddenberry?
I don't think there's much of a difference.
I'm inclined to agree.
Oh dear. Right, first off in our deep dive into Gene Roddenberry's life. Originally, we planned to do this near his birthday, the 19th of August, but due to our break and Star Trek Day having just passed on the 8th of September, that's 4 days ago, it seems like a good time to have a look at the man and his life today. Take it away.
He was born Eugene Wesley Roddenberry in 1921. Would have been 100 this year, of course. He spent his childhood in the city of Los Angeles. His father was a World War I veteran and a police officer, and someone that Roddenberry himself described as a bigoted Texan. His mother, on the other hand, was a devout Baptist and dragged young Roddenberry and his younger siblings, Bob and Doris, to each and every religious gathering she was able to, with the consent of their father. Who otherwise was actually anti-religious. Somewhat traumatised by the experiences, Roddenberry has cited this circumstance as the root cause for his atheistic world views.
Yeah, I can really see how that would work and how I empathise with that a lot. Actually, I went to a Christian school. My first primary school was a Christian school, and that's probably why I am like an atheist.
Yeah.
Anyway, in his high school days, a classmate lent him a copy of Astounding Stories, which was the start of Roddenberry's fascination with science fiction. He studied 3 years of policemanship and then transferred his academic interest to aeronautical engineering and qualified for a pilot's license. He then volunteered for the United States Army Air Forces and was ordered into training as a flying cadet when the United States entered the Second World War in 1941.
Mm-hmm. He continued flying until he saw television for the first time. Correctly estimating television's future, he realised that this new medium would need writers. He acted immediately. He went to Hollywood, left his flying career behind, a decision aided by a 1947 incident when Roddenberry's Pan Am airplane crashed in the Syrian desert, leaving only him and 7 others surviving. Although the accident really happened, Roddenberry has largely exaggerated that in later life, claiming that he single-handedly rescued the survivors from the wreckage, fought raiding Arab tribesmen, and walked across the deserts to the nearest phone and called for help. Dramatic. The tale, as recounted by Roddenberry, was very reminiscent of the fictional events as depicted in the 1965 movie The Flight of the Phoenix.
Wonderful. Well, you don't get to become a television writer without a bit of an imagination.
That's very true.
In 1963, Roddenberry began producing his first television series, The Lieutenant, at MGM. The Lieutenant co-starred Gary Lockwood and included many future Star Trek alumni in guest roles, such as Leonard Nimoy, his future wife, Majel Barrett, Nichelle Nichols, James Gregory, Leslie Parrish, and Madeline Rue. However, the series only lasted one season and was cancelled in the spring of 1964.
When The Lieutenant ended, Roddenberry began planning for his next series, a science fiction adventure show entitled Star Trek. He wrote his series proposal. That one. He wrote his series proposal entitled Star Trek Is in March 1964. Initially proposed for MGM, the studio, although initially enthusiastic, refused to buy it. Finally, Roddenberry sold his now dubbed Wagon Train to the Stars pitch idea to Oscar Katz and Herb Solov of Desilu in early April 1964. The in-law later famed exact phrase was actually that's the Wagon Train to the Stars thing. Was actually coined by writer Samuel A. Peoples, an acquaintance from Roddenberry's earlier television days, shortly before the Desilu pitch occasion, and not Roddenberry, who had called it a wagon train concept, but typically was by him appropriated as his own nevertheless.
On the 24th of October 1991, the 24th of October is my sister's birthday, but she wasn't born until 6 years after this. Gene Roddenberry passed away, succumbing to cardiac arrest. At the time of his passing, Roddenberry was survived by his wife Majel and their son Eugene Roddenberry Jr., his two grown daughters Dawn and Darlene from his previous marriage to Eileen, who never remarried, two grandchildren by Darlene, his mother Caroline, and his sister Doris.
Prior to that, in 1985, Roddenberry had become the very first television production staffer to be honoured with his own star on the famed Hollywood Walk of Fame. Quite an achievement.
The legacy of Star Trek, as created by Gene Roddenberry, continues to grow as the newest series, Star Trek Lower Decks, has joined Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, Discovery, and Picard. The Next Generation evolved into a feature film series debuting in 1994, the year I was born, and Star Trek Generations, and closing in 2002 with Star Trek Nemesis. A new alternate reality was created with the newest installments, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond.
The ashes of Roddenberry were on board the Space Shuttle Columbia during its start from the Kennedy Space Center on the 22nd of October 1992. I believe he was the first person ever to have his ashes shot into space.
And very well deserving as well, yes, after the world he created for us.
Yes, indeed.
The Great Bird of the Galaxy is perhaps best remembered, though, for his inspirational quote: "If man is to survive, he will have learned to take a delight in the essential differences between men and between cultures. He will learn that differences in ideas and attitudes are a delight, part of life's exciting variety, not something to fear."
A message we need today more than ever. Very much so. So a complicated guy, bit of a shit in some ways. There are certainly plenty of stories out there about that, but he did create Star Trek, and he did have an amazing vision for the future, I think. Yeah. I mean, what's your sort of take on Roddenberry, Keira?
Well, he did create Star Trek. He gave us the thing that people like us absolutely love and adore and live our lives through, and you have to be grateful to a man who can do that. Like, he was a visionary, and I feel like Star Trek has been a force for good in a world that is fundamentally very flawed. And so although he may have done some bad things or said some bad things, I can still appreciate the fact that he existed and that he worked so hard to give us Star Trek in the first place.
Absolutely, I totally echo that sentiment. Its Face has made an interesting comment that the Star Trek universe has been skewed somewhat with the new Star Trek series Discovery and Picard and what have you. And I take that on board. I think, yes, it skewed is an interesting word. I think it's been adapted for modern audiences because television and audiences and audience expectations evolve over time. Game of Thrones has a lot to answer for because now no protagonist is safe. Thanks to Game of Thrones. So
audiences these days expect things to be a lot more fast-paced and a lot more snappy with the action, whereas in like the 80s and 90s when Next Gen and Deep Space Nine and Voyager came out, people were happy to have it less of a massive story, and they could have it, each episode was like a standalone, and that just doesn't work these days. People don't want that. People want more. People want to sit and binge watch a series in a day, and they want the overarching story to be involved in that. And
yeah, well, the watching habits themselves have changed that massively. I mean, Deep Space Nine started it really with moving away from episodic to a serialized storyline. They were kind of really pioneering back then. But absolutely, I mean, networks would pick up a series like Deep Space Nine or The Next Generation, and they would just throw them out at one specific time every week on one specific day. So if you missed it, you missed it. And that's why it had to be episodic. That's why everything had to be wrapped up at the end of the hour. So that if you missed one, you didn't miss out, as it were. But yeah, watching habits have changed so much now. And yeah, I think, I mean, I'm just one of those people. I love all Star Trek, even the bad Star Treks, even Star Trek 5. I mean, I love to hate it. But all Star Trek is good stuff. And I've seen a meme recently on the Star Trek shit posting site that we're members of, Keira, saying all Star Trek is Trek. Yeah,
can't argue with that.
Yeah, there we go. And It Faces has responded saying they understand and appealing to today's audiences is a smart idea. They just don't like what they've done with Picard's character. We saw in The Next Generation a wise man moulded by experience. Very true, but then we've seen someone looking at what's happened to Picard since The Next Generation. I mean, a lot of years have passed, and I know how much more jaded I am in the last sort of 10 years, 15 years than what I used to be. And I haven't had half the shit thrown at me that Picard's had. So, I get what you're saying. He's certainly less optimistic than it used to be, but no, I think it's great. But that's me.
I'm going to go and watch Picard soon, I promise.
Yes, do it. Right, shall we move on to the Divine Treasury before we get into, oh my goodness, all the news that there has been?
Let's do it. Show us what you've got for us this week, Stu.
So, first, I've actually got two things to share. One, because I think it was the last episode we did live, I mentioned this particular thing that I was ordering as soon as the episode ended, which I did. And it's very, very relevant to today. It is the CD of the remastered Wrath of Khan soundtrack, which has just come out from La La Land Records, and you can buy this yourself. It's $29.98 from LaLaLandRecords.com. It is a complete remastering of James Horner's soundtrack. It's 2 discs. There they are, nice shiny discs with lovely, lovely pictures on. And if I can get this out without damaging anything, it comes with this lovely booklet talking about all sorts of behind-the-scenes stuff to do with the soundtrack.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's a lovely, lovely thing. I'm not a big one, so when the whole digital music thing came about, first of all, I railed against it, and I carried on buying CDs because, like, no, what happens if my computer accidentally deletes my recording or something? You know, then I've lost the money. And I always like to, if I'm going to pay for something, I like to have something physically in my hands. I've now gone the entire opposite direction because it's all stored on the cloud anyway. So this was unusual for me to go back to buying a physical CD, but it's a nice memento. It's you know, it's part of the collection now. If I can get this back in. I mean, the booklet didn't really say anything I didn't already know that I can think of off the top of my head. But it was interesting. It was interesting to read. So very, very nice. lalalandrecords.com. The other thing I wanted to share with you all, it's been a long time since I've done an unboxing, but this particular item actually arrived the day after our last recording, and I thought, oh, I'll do this as an unboxing because it's been a while, and I've been waiting a long time to open this. This is the gold USS Enterprise 1701. It has been sat at the side of my desk, still sealed. There we go. This is part of the Eagle Moss collection. Obviously, it's specially new out. It's a nice big one. So this is the 4th gold ship that they've done. They've done one large Enterprise D so far, the same sort of scale or kind of same size as this one, and they've done 2 smaller. The Enterprise D and the 1701. So this is just all in keeping of this. Shall we open it?
Yes, please.
There we go. That's broken the seal. And I love these boxes. They're all magnetic. The gold chip boxes, and it's got a lovely sort of feel to it. There we go. So, oh my goodness. So there's information on the lid. So also available. They're not gold ones, they're just 2 models that are randomly available. It comes with a nice little booklet, as per usual, all about the Enterprise, tour of the Enterprise, lots of pictures. I love the pictures in these. There's some nice photos, but that's not what we're here to see. I hope this isn't broken. There we are, shiny. Oh my goodness. Look how shiny that is. These are actually proper gold plated, 24 karat gold plated. Absolutely amazing. And I'm leaving fingerprints all over it as I'm looking at it. It's a really good weight to it. I'm trying to think what parts are die cast. Saucer section, the top part is die cast, I think. The bottom part may be plastic. I'm not sure about the secondary hull, the engineering hull. I suspect the nacelles are plastic, but it's a really good heavy weight to it. All that gold, so shiny. Yeah,
I love
there
it.
we go. And it comes with its usual stand and base. And the bases, they always have a sticker underneath saying what it is, and they're silver usually, but the gold specials are all in gold underneath the stickers. So very, very nice, that one from Eagle Moss. That's going to take pride of place in the collection, probably next to my USS Livingston, which is the absolute pride, 100% pride of my collection. There we go.
Love that. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm literally obsessed. Anything shiny and gold, I'm like, love it.
Yeah, well, the cabinet that I store the gold ones in, and some of the special ones. Most of my cabinets, I use these IKEA Detolfs, and I've vinyl wrapped the tops and bottoms in white for pretty much all the cabinets. But the one with the gold pieces in, I've got shiny gold foil vinyl wrap that they're in. Ed's seen it. Ed's seen it in person. He can attest to that. Yes, it is very special, that one. There we go.
Amazing. Should we do some news?
We shall. But you know what? We're whipping through the episode actually quicker than I expected, which is great. But we do have a lot of news to get through. Oh my goodness. So much has been happening. Actually, before we do talk about the news, Star Trek Day happened while we've been away. As you say, 4 days ago. Did you do anything for Star Trek Day? I know you have been very, very busy.
No, because I've been moving house and unpacking, and I literally didn't even realise it was Star Trek Day because I was so busy unpacking in my house, and had a new fridge delivered and all this and everything, and it was just it's been a very overwhelming week. Today marks officially 1 week in my new place, so yeah, lots of unpacking going on. So no, I didn't do anything for Star Trek Day. Did you?
Yes. So we do the Star Trek adventures that you've been somewhat part of in the past. A little while ago, we finished our first season, so we finished the first adventure, and on Wednesday we had we got the crew together and we all had a chat about the first season and where it went and what kind of theories we had and what were our favourite bits, all that kind of thing. So that was really nice. That took us through to the evening there. We even did a kind of Star Trek Adventures After Dark, just me and Ed. After everyone else left, we came back and did some more, just because we were chatting off air so much. And it's like, do you know what? This would be good to do on air. That took us through to... Because the whole Star Trek Day thing over here didn't actually start till midnight on Thursday morning.
Oh.
So it wasn't actually on the 8th, it was on the 9th. But yeah, so I ended up staying up till 5 a.m. watching all the panels, watching all the new trailers come in, getting in tears when George Takei spoke.
Aww.
All that kind of thing. Did have one viewer, yes. Captain Quinn joined us for Star Trek Adventures After Dark. I think we've had a few viewers now on the catch-ups. But yes, Captain Quinn was there with us all the way. So yes, it was definitely. I was absolutely knackered the next day.
I bet.
And I had an audition the next day as well.
Oh my god, that's terrible. Hope you got the part.
I did. I'm doing it tomorrow. I'm filming tomorrow.
Oh, it's that one.
It's that one. So that was fun. Yeah. So yeah, no, I just wanted to touch base about Star Trek Day because obviously it was a thing. But yes. Cool.
Lovely.
Right, yes, news. Let's do some news.
Our first bit of news for you this week, and quite apt considering what our deep dive was today, is that there is a biopic being made about Gene Roddenberry. The project is being produced by a team that includes Gene's son, Rod, and his producing partner, Trevor Roth.
Discovery news! Season 4 has finally wrapped. It wrapped on the 23rd of August. Can't wait for Season 4. How far are you into your Discovery watch?
I think I'm near the end of Season 2, but like I mentioned to you off air earlier, I just haven't had a chance to watch any Star Trek for weeks. But I will get back on that. As soon as I've got actual Wi-Fi in my new place and I'm not eating through the data on my phone, I will watch Discovery. Next up in the Star Trek news this week, we have information on Prodigy. John Noble and Jimmy Simpson have been announced as the main villains. The main title sequence dropped at the end of August, which was incredible, and the premiere date is the 28th of October.
Very, very exciting. John Noble's brilliant. He was great in Lord of the Rings. The original series 4K movie, so this is including Wrath of Khan. It's the first 4, motion picture Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock and Voyage Home, are being released as a 4-movie 4K collection, as announced for the 55th anniversary of Star Trek this year. It is priced at the insanely, prohibitively, way too much price of $77.99. I mean, $80 for 4 movies. They
It's
can
about
go fuck
50 quid,
themselves.
isn't it? That's about 50
Now,
quid.
I will not be getting. I mean, I might get it secondhand later down the road, but you know, I won't be doing that. You can get it from Amazon though if you've got more money than sense. Actually, no, you can fund my sitcom if you've got that much money.
Next up in Star Trek news from the Voyager documentary. To the Journey released a sneak peek at the end of August, which can be found on YouTube. I haven't watched it yet. I didn't even know it was out. I'm gonna
have you not watched it? Oh,
no.
You're in for a treat.
I completely missed it. I saw the Prodigy opening titles, but I had no idea that there was a sneak peek of To the Journey. So I'm gonna get on that.
Yeah. Oh, do. Next up, we have Picard news, where it's been announced that we are going to see the Borg Queen in Picard season 2. This time, she's going to be the third actor to play it. It's going to be played by Annie Wershing, or I don't know who she is, I'm afraid, but Annie something. Season 2 has finally wrapped filming now on the 3rd of September, and they are gearing up, ready to start filming for season 3 already. So I'm wondering if it's going to be kind of like seasons 2 and 3 are almost like linked and part of the same arc. Because usually when they do 2 seasons that close together, that's often what that means. Yeah,
like a follow-on, like when they do 2-parters, one at the end and one at the beginning of the next season.
Yes.
Very nice. You know, Annie Wershing or however you say it, she's actually gorgeous. But I would have really loved to see one of the original actors back, and for them to say, look, Borg can age as well. I don't know.
Well, under that much prosthetics, I don't think aging would have shown anyway. I think it would have been nice, but then isn't the whole concept of the Borg Queen that she's not just one person anyway?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of speculating, and I don't know. Maybe their schedules didn't allow. Maybe they wanted too much money, like Kirstie Alley.
Yeah, maybe. Next
Speaking
up,
of gorgeous, I'm just going to digress slightly. Speaking of gorgeous actors, the woman who does the voice of Dr. T'Ana in Lower Decks, oh my god, I saw her in an interview, and oh my god, she is like, yeah, hot, mega hot. Now every time I see Dr. T'Ana, I'm like, whoa.
Amazing. Right, digression.
Yeah. Digression, and that's me sent to the horny brig.
Next bit of news we have for you is about collectibles. There are digital scale models of Enterprise D and the Borg Cube that will be available soon from Vive, an app.
Vivi, I think.
Available one-to-one. These are walkthroughs. Info at vivi.me.
It's a weird thing, and I was trying to get my head around what they're actually doing. So you get this app on your phone, and it gives you an image of where you are in the ship at that particular moment. And because it's one-to-one scale, you can walk the entire length of the Enterprise D, and like walk down its corridors by walking around outside.
Amazing.
But a Borg Cube, I mean, that's like bigger than most cities on one-to-one scale.
A VR headset, and that would be incredible.
That would be an accident waiting to happen right there. Yeah, but I mean, they do smaller scales as well, I think, but one-to-one, that's just awesome. Sorry, I just wanted to interject there because it's a weird thing that they're doing. It took me ages to get my head around it.
Wow.
Star Trek Day news. So we mentioned Star Trek Day. There were various panels for each of the shows on StarTrek.com/day. There was a new trailer for Prodigy, which was amazing. New trailer for Picard, which, if you weren't excited about Picard beforehand, my God, you're excited afterwards. There were cast announcements for Strange New Worlds. Oh my God, Keira, we're getting Dr. Mbenga in Strange New Worlds. We're getting Nurse Christine Chapel, and we're getting Cadet Uhura.
What?
Yeah, Cadet Uhura is going to be in Strange. I can't remember the name of the actor off the top of my head, and I don't have it written down in front of me. Sorry, but yeah, but well worth going and rewatching the panels. I think they're on YouTube. On YouTube now, they should be. But yeah, absolutely amazing.
Do you know what
And
amazing?
welcome Stormwind to the chat. No Maress, I'm afraid. Oh, I'd love to see a Maress. Yeah.
I was going to say, Stu, what would be amazing is if they got LeVar Burton's daughter in to play Cadet Uhura, Micah. Because she's really good on camera.
She is. I mean, I don't know enough of her work to comment. I know her as a host for Star Trek events. That's it.
Yeah, but
I know she does some role play stuff as well.
With the dad, like.
And they could throw an immense amount of coaching at her if needed as well.
Yeah, they got the money for it.
They have.
Next up on Star Trek news, it's about games. A series of PC games have been updated for Windows 10, which are available on GOG.com. These include Elite Force 1 and 2, Hidden Evil, Away Team, Starfleet Command 3, and Bridge Commander.
Very, very exciting. Except I've got a Mac, so,
I have a Mac too.
.com. I won't be playing them. And our last bit of news for now until next week. Starfleet Academy. Do you know what? I never thought I would be announcing anything to do with this potential series that I really thought. Well, it still might be because it's not an announcement as such. But Kurtzman talked about Starfleet Academy with Will Wheaton on Star Trek Day, and he talked about it as if it's happening. Now, there's not been an official announcement as yet, but Starfleet Academy as a series, yeah, it looks like it might actually be happening. Star Trek 90210.
Oh my God,
I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I sort of get it because the whole young adult thing, bridging that gap between the youngsters for Prodigy and the more adult themes in other series.
Maybe I'm still a kid at heart then, because the Starfleet Academy show is like right up my street. I absolutely can't wait.
Yeah, cool.
It's a big...
And why not? Why not? Wow.
Well, that's it. That's all of our news.
I'm exhausted now.
I am going to go and order a Chinese, I think. What are you going to do with the rest of your evening?
I'm going to get ready for filming tomorrow. And I've got my role-playing game, my weekly role-playing game tonight at 8 p.m. So,
Lovely.
Yeah, that's my evening. And I'm having a pasta bake.
Oh, lovely. Oh, I love a pasta bake.
Yeah, doing it in the slow cooker.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. Right. Oh, thank you, Grim. Grim says break a leg.
Yeah, break your legs too.
Yes, and his face is rightly says a bridge crew. They disabled the voice control, and it was the contract with Watson that ended, and that was such a shame. But it's still a great game, so I would say, yeah, carry on playing it anyway. Yeah.
Lovely.
Right.
Yes. Right. Next time, join us for a deep dive on the Denobulan race.
Yes, and we will be discussing the Enterprise episode Stigma.
We'll be paying another visit to the Divine Treasury, and maybe if I get my act together and unpack my stuff, you might be treated to a snippet of Kira's cosplay.
No pressure. We know that you are under, like, you're feeling it at the moment, so no pressure. But it'd be nice if there is something. There we go. And we will be going back to our regular news from the Trekverse, and doing a week's worth this time, next time, as per normal. Gosh.
So until then, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper. Bye. Bye.